Welcome to the SWAB with Georgie Carroll. We all know nurses have the best stories, so why don't you come have a listen? Let's welcome back for the second time to So Good We Had It Twice. It's Katie East. How you going, Katie?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty stoked to be back on the SWAB.
If you don't know Katie East, if you've not listened to the other episodes, the reason Katie East has probably been busy this morning, she is a nurse. This is after she went through several careers. What did we have? We had tattoo artist.
No, body piercer.
A body piercer.
Council tree waterer.
Sort of.
Chef.
Yeah, you said you'd done it, but you didn't water the grounds, but you're a lot better at nursing. A chef, and then at 27, you promised yourself you'd get a degree by 30, then became a nurse. Then now you're like in charge of all the nurses or something.
Not quite. I have a few different roles going at the moment. So I've actually, since we've spoken,
She's a lot for nursing.
A lot. I'm trying to do a lot for nursing.
No, I said a slot for nursing.
Yeah. I missed the accent there.
Yeah, you're a slot for nursing. So, yeah. So, what are your roles at the minute then?
I am actually an executive officer at the State Health Emergency Coordination Centre, which sounds really fancy.
But it does. That's a lot of syllables.
I know. And whenever I have to speak on the phone, I have to announce that. They're like, geez, that's a mouthful. But basically, you're an XO at check. That's how you break it down. So my responsibilities there are reporting to the State Deputy Incident Command person and also to the Chief Health Officer. And basically, we help coordinate the COVID strategic plan for all of the health services and intergovernmental departments across Queensland.
Because you're a nurse practitioner as well, aren't you?
I'm a new nurse practitioner, so this is new. I've completed my studies and I have started my permanent position as a nurse practitioner in an emergency department. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's see what you can do with your arts and whatever it was degree.
Arts and police studies, yeah.
Arts and police studies.
Trajectory.
Yes. So you brought us some gorgeous stories last time. You're in my book, in fact, aren't you?
I am.
You're the only nurse that's named.
I actually found it. I found my little spot the other day. Bloody great book, by the way. Well played.
Thank you.
Like, the funny thing is, because I know you, I read the entire book with your voice in my head. Like you were reading it to me.
Yeah, you're not the only person to say that, but do not get the audiobook. I just hated every second.
Really?
Oh, can you imagine?
Let's take that back. Please buy the audiobook. It's fantastic because we want to keep Georgie alive and sound.
Buy the actual book and read it in my accent. It's far better because imagine the story that you most like telling at dinner parties or whatever. Imagine just saying that to yourself in a cupboard. Which is what you're doing for an audiobook. You're just saying it to yourself in a cupboard with exactly as it's written.
Yeah.
So you don't write it like you'd say at a dinner party. You describe what everyone's wearing and she said with a wry smile. You know, like you have to say that afterwards. And it's just and then you've got like an audio booth guy who just every now and again goes, okay, pause, go again from your husband's balls. You know. Go again from clitoris with a hammer. You know, like it's that. It's the worst.
Yeah.
So I was definitely at points just reading it quickly to get it out of the way. I need more love and validation than sitting in a cupboard.
Yeah, like you could have done it with a live audience. I feel like you could have worked that out. You could have had the laughs in the background, like would have been hard to record. It would be a bit shit if you had a heckler.
Yeah, well, it was like a 4-day record. I think even you wouldn't be up for that.
No.
But yeah, you brought us great stories. You brought us what I remember from the last one, you talked about being in a cyclone and the hospital shutting down and all of those kind of things. You'll have to listen to the episode, but basically, they set up a hospital on a basketball court, didn't you?
Yeah.
But when I came off, there was just more stupid stories. I mean, even now your beautiful Amanda, who's about to eat your lunch if you don't go to her. But How you met her? I love that story.
So we met at
She's
a.
a nurse as well.
Yeah, she is a nurse. She is the statewide paediatric sepsis CNC for Queensland,
Oh,
the only
that's
one that exists
amazing.
in Australia. So who's currently doing a PhD in paediatric sepsis as well. We met at a birthday party, and I was dressed as Animal from the Muppets. That was our introduction to each other. It was a great.
What was she dressed as?
She herself, actually. She doesn't partake in dress ups very often.
I do feel you are the dickhead of the
I
couple.
am. Yeah. I'm the joker.
Yeah.
I try and keep things light. She's very serious, but I like that about her. But I feel that my role is to inject a bit of fun and pizzazz. Like we're
Yeah,
house
you're the
hunting at
house.
the moment, right? Which is an
I
awful
know.
time to house hunt, right?
I mean, so how long have I known you now? Maybe 2 years, and you've
18
been
months we've been looking for a house because we're so
yeah.
particular about what we want. We have a list, and I know you won't. Anyway, so we go house hunting the other day, and we go, okay, we should go and get a coffee. And we pull into a car park, and I'm like, oh, let's go and have a counter meal at the pub. She's like, we can't do that. We've got food at home. And I'm like, you watch me. And I just walked into the pub and ordered a counter meal, and she had to follow and order one as well. She's like, this is a bit weird. And I'm like, that's right. And relaxing and fun. Like,
Yeah.
and then we found a pokey machine that we like. Oh, we're a bit obsessed with.
I don't feel I don't want to be the naysayer, but I was looking at houses with you. They're looking for you're going $1 million plus, which sounds like a lot, but when you look at them,
It's
they just
not.
look like normal houses. They just look like normal houses, don't they? I can't get over
Yeah, it's the Gold Coast. It's gone mental. Yep.
because you're keeping it COVID free and everyone wants to be there.
That's exactly, and this is what I'm worried about. So now that Melbourne's kicked off again, we're going to get the bloody surge of them all wanting to move up here again.
All the bloody Victorians.
Oh yeah, stay away.
Build a wall, mate. Build a wall. Build a bloody wall.
Look, I'm happy to admit that I do live in one of the best places in Australia. It took me, 35 years to find where I wanted to live, and I don't think I would move for quid.
Lives on the Gold
Coast.
Coast.
Yeah.
I know because I've hung out with you there. I've been at your house.
You have been at the house. We did some cooking together, which was exciting.
It was a full morning. We did. You took me on a surfing lesson.
Yeah, so Georgie called me, or I messaged her, and I'm like, what do you want to do while you're up here on the coast? Like, she does the comedy thing, and that's great, but, you need to have a life as well. I was injecting the pizzazz. And I said, how about a surf lesson? Because I surf. And she's like, you know what? That sounds wonderful. Well, what an experience that was, George.
Well, I looked forward to it. So I love doing new things. I looked forward to it for a solid 3 days.
Yeah.
And then when I was in the water, I looked forward to it ending for a good 15 minutes. So I got out. I got seasick. I got seasick.
You got seasick from being on the board. It was hilarious. Yeah. And you burnt through zinc. Like we covered her in zinc. Absolutely burnt through it.
She brought me a lesson, and we go and see this super leathery bird who's just lived out on a rock under the sun forever. And I know you enjoy it, but I found nothing to enjoy. It's like it would be all right. I think the waves were just too frequent. I think if you could find me a beach where there was one wave and then like a half-hour break.
Yeah.
And then another wave.
So I think what I've worked out from this is that you and I need to meet up in Melbourne when all of this COVID stuff's over, and I'm going to take you to the wave pool there where there's consistent waves that are the same every time. And I'm going to take you to the wave pool, and we're going to surf the wave pool together.
Can I not just do the counter meal instead? Can you just take me to the pokies and see the counter meal?
We've got a $5 rule. We put $5 in one poker machine. That's it. That's all.
Well, I've decided that if I'm ever having a full breakdown, because my life's going really nice.
It is. Welcome back.
I'm playing theatres. I'm like, it's just going well.
Selling out theatres, not just playing them, thank you.
I feel like maybe this is how Macaulay Culkin felt when he was like doing Home Alone and shit. It's just like,
then he became a mess and went downhill.
This is it. So I have worked in hospital. I've seen all the vices, and I have decided that the way I'm going to spiral out of control,
Yep.
a little mild self harm in pokey rooms. That's what I'm going to do. So
Okay.
I'm just some low level kind of just. I wouldn't even say cutting. Perhaps just plucking out my eyebrows or something. Like just pulling out my own hair. What's it called? Trichophobia. I can't even remember what it's called.
One strand at a time as you press the button.
What is the least harmful way of me spiraling out of control? I've already mastered booze. Like I can't make it. I can't drink any more than I do. I don't
No.
think. So I reckon pulling my own eyebrows and hair out in
a pokey
while stumbling, it will be the way forward.
It blows me away, those venues, though. So Amanda and I go and put $5 in and we play 1 cent bets, right? 1 cent bet. So it's like, at the most, 25 cents a press, right? This lady next to us the other day, they had $3,500 in the machine. And I'm like, pull out, love. Like, pull out. Pull out. And she's like, oh, no, I'm 1.5 down. And I'm like, what? And Amanda in my face, like, because we legit $5 that day, and then we have fun. Like we went to a casino. I use the word casino loosely. That's here at Twinfield recently, and we found this big machine where you pull a lever, and it has one of those wheels that go around, and you try and guess what the wheel's going to land on. 45 minutes of absolute hilarity between me and Amanda, and we spent like 50 cents. Like,
you are very easy to make laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't understand that so much money. I work too hard for that money.
Well, that's part of the spiraling out of control for me, though, because I don't know what to do with the money anyway. I hate shopping.
Yeah.
I don't want $1 million house.
The little man's probably not going to go to uni.
He's not going to uni. If he comes down, like they do, and they go, "Oh, I've decided I want to do marine biology or whatever." You're like, "No, fuck off. You can work down the pit. You can work down the pits because that's what you. Yes,
you're going to the mine, son. You're doing FIFO."
You know what? I just feel like it. Maybe all mums think this, but I just feel like he's going to do all right anyway. He's just he's a carny.
Yeah,
he's a carny. He works in the festivals, he works at fairs, and he loves that side of life. And generally they're quite clever, the carnies, but not academic.
Sneaky little buggers.
Oh, I just don't know how it's going to go. He can come hurt himself in the pokey machine. We can do it together.
Sitting there like a group of monkeys plucking each other's hair
out. He's got so many good spots at the minute. I swear to God, I could do all of them.
Have you done? I love a good squeeze. So going into where I've gone into, so every now and then I get to do an incision and drainage. And as a nurse, you just get to watch. As a nurse practitioner, you get to be live and right up in the action. I did one the other day, and you know it's good.
Where was it on the body?
On the like the rear of on your back.
On your back.
Yeah.
So right, we're not looking at anything too gruesome.
No. But you know it's good. 1, when it hits the wall next to you, and 2, when the patient goes, there she blows.
There she blows.
So I want a teenager that I can kind of, practice my technique on at the moment. Do you ever look at them and they're like you just want to go up and squeeze it?
Oh, some of them it's like they're past ready, so it's just it's like literally almost just puss sitting on the outside.
Don't smile because it'll block.
Everything about you as a parent is trying to say to them, "Don't squeeze him," and he doesn't. Yeah. But everything as a human, you just want to get his head and just squeeze it from the side and just watch it come out of everywhere like a little Play-Doh thing. I reckon if I just squeezed his head hard enough, they'd all just zoom out.
Go. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, you were talking about how you like watching the abscesses and the all of that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody whose colostomy has blurted out of them into a big pile on the outside. Have you ever seen this?
No, but what I have seen with a colostomy is a mother that was very late to her daughter's softball championships and missed the game where she won because she was at work. My mum was a nurse and had a colostomy bag explode all over her, like full frontal.
Yeah.
So I've only ever heard the story about it, but not actually seen it in real life.
No, I'm not talking about fecal explosions. I'm talking about all of the bowel had started spewing out of the colostomy.
Oh, that's not okay.
It's not okay. No. And it didn't hurt them. And they presented, and it was just a mound of bowel. It was like disemboweled.
Bowel in a bag.
No, the bag wasn't on anymore. So it was literally it was like a mound, like a good old, like a brain sat on the outside almost.
You should see my face, people.
Nah, but get this. No, you would love it if it was happening because it didn't hurt the person. So it was. But
and it was one of them. It back in.
Well, this is what you do. You squirt lactulose all over it.
You
buy over the counter. So if you don't know what that is, people, it's just a little bit of medicine to soften your poo up that you drink, and you squirt that on it, and it sucks and then you just squeeze it.
No,
and it shrinks. And so it's not even an operation. You just,
just at the bedside, a little bit of over-the-counter medication.
Yes,
70% of all ED presentations, really.
Yeah, that's my most favourite thing I've ever watched.
Okay, you know what will happen? Somebody will have this, and they'll walk in, and I'll be like, "I know what to do.
I know what to do." Yeah, and then you'll find out it's a big old practical joke that I'm playing. Yeah, it's so weird, isn't it? When somebody's suffering with something, and as a nurse, you walk in and you go, "Do you mind if I watch?"
Oh, always. My favourite is, so on the other side of things, like, you know, you've got your back pains and you've got people where you've got to examine the anus, right? And sometimes you've got to pop your finger there and, like, you've got to explain to the patient, not only am I going to do that, but I'm going to phone a friend to come in and watch. Like...
We're going to write about it. Yeah. We're going to stand at the end of your bed a bit later on and discuss it. Have you ever had a finger up your bum medically? Because I have, and I wasn't at the time. I was just like, "Oh yeah, this is happening." Even though it was work friends, I was like, "Oh."
I'm going to say no. However, I was really unwell with pneumonia, and I got narked at work to the point where I had no urinary output and a massive distended bladder, and I had to get catheterized in my workplace.
So were you working at the time, or were you unwell?
So I was on shift, and I started getting this chest pain. I was working in mental health, and I started getting this really intense chest pain. I'm like, "Oh, this is not good." And I had a bit of a cough back pre-COVID days. And then I had this sudden onset, really bad chest pain. So I presented, obviously, in the emergency department that I was in. I was like, "Sorry, mental health patients, I'm going to go, or I could be dying." And anyway, it turns out they didn't know what was wrong with me, and this chest pain wouldn't go away, and they just kept giving me more and more narcotics because I was in so much pain. And, like, I literally could not wee. Like, I remember sitting on the toilet and my gut was so far out because I drank so much water because I was on night duty. You get time to wee on night duty.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, my God, I need to wee so badly." And I had this feeling that I needed to. And I remember sitting on the toilet, and they're like, "We need to send a nurse escort in with you because you've had too many narcotics to be on the toilet alone." And I'm like, "Get out! Get out!" And I remember trying to will myself to wee, and then they were like, "Okay, we're going to have to put a catheter in." And I'm like, "Over my dead body." And they're like, "Well, we can arrange that." And then they did the kind thing, though. So all of my workmates banded together and rang maternity and got one of the midwives to come down that I didn't know. And they gave me a bit.
Oh, that's so cute.
They gave me a bit of morph and Medaz so that I wouldn't remember the experience of being catheterized in my workplace. That's my fun fact.
You got Medaz for a catheter. Yeah. I love it.
They gave me a bit of morph Medaz because I was so distressed about being catheterized in my workplace. Like, it's awful. Like, I've got to work with these people again.
I had to have tits out at work, so I turned up to work in anaphylaxis. That was mine.
What are you allergic to?
I refuse to be tested.
Oh,
because I don't want to
it'll
be the
knock out a
person
food
that has
group.
to say, yeah, I'd rather not know. So, and I've been anaphylactic once and just severe reaction twice.
Yeah.
And never to the same thing. So once was to, the first time was to trout, but I'm not allergic to fish. So get this. So trout, and then the next time was liver, which I've eaten since and I'm fine. And the third time was a really cheap can of Coca-Cola. So I reckon it's some kind of trace element in it, in something like livers filter things, fish swim around in things, and the metal in the can. There's got to be. I'm allergic to mercury or some shit.
Something
right?
like that. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm never going to walk around going, oh, on menus and going, excuse me, does this contain mercury? You know, like,
Imagine that. Someone's trying to give you penicillin in the hospital and they're like, what are you allergic to? And you're like, mercury. And they're like,
mercury.
we don't give
Yeah.
that.
We don't do that.
Where in your life did you get mercury?
This is it. So I won't get tested. But the first time I turned up to night shift and I was completely cherry red, and it was the night coordinator that noticed. So I'd carried on doing stuff. I just thought I was really unfit because I walked up the one flight of stairs to get to her office to find out where I was placed for the night. And I was like, oh Jesus. And she was like, Georgie, have you got
going on?
And she said, are you allergic to anything? I said, no. She says, I'm going to give you some clarity now. She said, you've got an allergy to something. She said, but I need you to go to ED. You can't work like this. So I went down to ED. And then I got, obviously you're getting a gown, but then you got to get your tits out for an ECG.
Oh,
and they didn't have to medaz me, mate. I was fine. I was just like,
did you have to do the lift up for them? For the tits?
to get under the bit. Yeah. I can't. And then it was, they got the Gelco in, and then I needed some adrenaline and,
That's a serious reaction.
Steroids, of course, right? So, but the nurse who was giving me, oh God, he was beautiful. He was like an Indian English nurse.
So you were having fantasies about your nurse while they're injecting.
Well, as he's giving the steroid, he's saying, I don't know how true this is. We can probably Google it. He said, do you know if I give this really quickly, you orgasm?
I don't know.
I don't think that's true.
I've not heard that.
I mean, I did.
And I've not.
Well, that was mainly because of how good he looked.
Did you turn around and go on then?
Oh my God, this would have been 10 or 12 years ago, right? And I can't believe, how much we used to objectify, because there was only like 5 male nurses in the hospital, and we're like, right, marry, kill, or shag.
Yeah.
And you'd work, and it was like your top 3, and then we had the hottest one in each age range, and
yeah. See, I myself never played that game with male nurses. However,
because you fancy the ladies.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Have you ever? No, you wouldn't have ranked the ladies, would you?
No, that's a wrong thing to do, Georgie.
It's a wrong thing to do. This is why I've left nursing, because I couldn't stop.
There's no line.
I just couldn't stop doing it. So yeah, I've left it.
And ever since then, you've been hoping for that reaction to come back so they can quickly inject you with steroids again.
Well, I've said it before on the podcast, but it's physios all the way, isn't it? Physios just are.
What is with that? You have said that before. Like, honestly, I walked into my new department and good-looking physio, good-looking physio, good-looking physio. And then somebody else walked up to me that was really pretty, and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Katie. You must be the physio. And it was.
And it was the physio, yeah.
Mental.
Slightly hotter but better dressed is the speech pathology department.
Very true. Very true.
They're very well turned out. They're very neat. They're very well ironed.
Yeah.
They wear complicated outfits for coming to work, I think.
So it's funny because one of my mates was on Tinder next to me the other day, right? And he was like, oh, what do you think of this person? And I'm like, oh, what do they do? I don't care what they look like. What do they do? And he's like, oh, they're a speech pathologist. And I'm like, oh, at least that's a decent job. And he's like, what? They get to watch people swallow all day? Like...
Swallow or choke all day.
He was a gay man, so I turned around. Look, it could work well for you.
Oh, nice one.
Good job.
We got to wrap it up in a minute. I've got a podcast director now, and they set me time limits. You know, I could talk to you forever.
Why do they set you?
Have you got a good crazy story to end on? What's been going on for?
To be honest, I am absolutely mortified by the amount of people that injure themselves simply walking.
I pulled a muscle doing my tax the other day.
How?
Because I'm on a computer chair, and then a receipt blew off my table, and then I reached over for I'm not standing up and bending over properly. I've been on moving and handling courses. I'm not doing it for an invoice.
No.
So then I just leaned over, and I was like, oh, it's done. So the people just walking. I've been in emergency this week. Robbie, the younger kid, concussion.
I remember this, and I emailed you, and I said, you will get put away for hitting your children.
Yeah, that's right. No, it wasn't. It was a mid-air collision. So yeah, I don't jump.
Definitely not you then.
I don't jump. So God, how have you seen? So yeah, just people walking.
Yeah, like literally, my last couple of weeks of presentations have been I was walking and I fell, or I was walking and I rolled my ankle, or I was walking and all of a sudden my knee is sore. So I've transitioned from, working within resusces with really, really sick, unwell people across to a fast track model of care as a nurse practitioner, dealing with people that are unable to walk.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. It keeps...
So more of a sideways move for more money.
Pardon?
Just a sideways move, really, for more money and prescribing rights.
Yeah, more money it's more responsibility. So my first patient that I saw as a nurse practitioner had an ant bite to their butt, right? So they presented because they were in pain. And
that's a good reason to go to emergency.
It is so scary on the other side being a practitioner in the fact that I was like, oh my God, she's going to die. And the only reason I thought that is because I'm responsible for her discharge now. And so in my mind, I'm going through everything that could possibly happen that has happened to anybody that's been bitten by an ant in the history of mankind and thinking of how many people have died from it, from an anaphylaxis. She was fine. But
yeah, I was going to say, when you're not a nurse practitioner, when you're just a nurse and it's not your responsibility, you're just like, who brings a fucking ant in?
Yes. Yeah, so it's funny being on the other side of, this person's got nothing wrong with them. They can just go home, and then you do an x-ray and a bit of investigation. It turns out they've got a broken leg. The probs can't go home just yet. They might need a bit of help.
You'll get people who come in with one thing like something physical and then it's something mental too.
Oh, always.
The one time I went to see my GP about not feeling so mentally well, I took a skin cancer in that I didn't even think was a skin cancer. I was like, I was like, well, you have a look at this. And while we're here, I've been grinding my teeth a lot and not sleeping.
Yeah, so we get I've come in because I've hurt my toe. I've kicked it on the edge of the bed and I sit them down and I'm like, all right, so what's your pain at the moment? And they're like, my toe pain's okay, but my chest pain's really severe. And I'm like... I feel like you belong in a different part of the department, not in the you're probably going to go home bit.
I know, I felt so bad with Robbie because we scored resus. Yeah, but I wasn't even going to take him. It was another mum at footy who just said, my kids had a really bad concussion, because I was like ready to send him back on. I'll be honest.
You're so brutal with that kid, honestly.
I was because you say, are you all right? And you go, yeah, just a bit dizzy. All right, okay then. And then, are you good? And you go, yeah, I'll go back on. So and she was like, George, look at it. I've so lost all those
He's
skills.
walking around
and
like
even
a crab.
Home for an hour at home, I just waited and I was, I just wondered whether because sometimes when you ask the kids a question, they just start saying, yeah.
Yeah. And they're teenagers as well. Their communication level is not top notch.
Not top notch. Well, as we started the podcast with that as well, didn't we? I could talk to you forever, girl.
I'm threatening to go. Just leave me. Let's
just leave. Your salad will be cold. Lovely chatting to you once again. Thank you so much.
I can't wait until the next time, mate.
All right. Love you.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
You've been listening to The SWAB with Georgie Carroll. That's me podcast, but I also have live comedy shows too, and I've written a book called Off the Charts. If you want to know more about those things, please hit me up on my socials. I've got a Facebook called Georgie Carroll, and I've got an Insta called Nurse Georgie Carroll. I've got a website called georgiecarroll.com. Also, if you've got anybody that you think would be a great guest on the SWAB, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for listening, and that's all for today from the SWAB.